have a real treat for you today. We have the director of the Belmont Council on Aging and the Beach Street Center with us. She will tell us a very interesting story. Welcome, Nava.
Thank you so much, Kitty. In many ways, I feel like I would want to be interviewing you today. Kitty, our host, for the benefit of the audience, is a very, very beloved member of our community, and she has contributed in many, many ways, not just to the senior center, but to the community at large, and has championed many wonderful causes, and has been a very, very lively participant. So I am delighted and honored that you asked that I speak today. So, what would you like to know?
First, I'd like to know where you came from, your background.
Okay, so my name is foreign, and so many people do know from my name that I must be from somewhere else. I was born in Jerusalem, Israel.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and my family moved to the United States when I was very young, and I grew up in Manhattan, and so I suppose I came from the big city, and grew up as a city kid. Then I came up to this area for college, to Brandeis University, and majored in history and sociology, and developed an interest in social work and sociology, which brought me to my first job in the area. I worked at the previous Metropolitan State Hospital that was on the nearby.
Must be interesting.
Yes,
thing.
it was a very intense experience, and
But not easy.
no,
Very
no.
hard.
Yeah, well, it's very sad to encounter the problems of the mentally ill. So that led me to social work school. So I did my degree social work at Simmons College in Boston. And that's where I began my, at this point, 40-year career in working with older adults.
We certainly need a lot of that.
We do. I have to say that I tell all my young social work interns and social workers coming out of school, yes, we in the geriatric social work field need you. And I tell them that, you know, they're inclined to work with young families who need a lot of help, but they
We
all
need some too.
exactly.
Old people need a lot of help, and very often we don't get it.
Well, you are right, and this is what astonishes my younger colleagues who are looking for work in the field, is that they don't realize what the needs are of older people, what they are up against, and also how rewarding it is, and how vibrant people are in their later years, and how much we can offer older people.
I must say that most people say when you get old, it's the end. It could be the beginning. Like, I feel just as well now when I'm 94 than when I was 34.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I'll tell you, but you are an example for what we see every day, which is at our center, at the Beach Street Center. I mean, I think we can compete with any lively evening scene in Boston. We have so much going on, and people are interacting in very youthful ways.
Now, please tell me also, how you got the center. I'm afraid it was one of the last ones in this area. How come? Tell us the story, please.
Oh, well, thank you for asking, because we just came up on our 8th anniversary. 2 weeks ago, we had a celebration of 8 years moving into our beautiful center, which is located on Beach Street.
And it is beautiful.
Thank you. It was a 30-year process, Kitty. It began with seniors realizing they want a place to congregate. However, they felt that the town was ignoring this need for many, many years.
They sure were.
Yeah, and I must say, the seniors of the town are really who made it happen, because they spoke up. They clamored and clamored until, by the time I came to the job as Director of Council on Aging, which was 17 years ago, they were fired up. And fortunately, a number of things conspired. We gained support of the selectmen, we gained support of key figures in town, and it happened to be that the space opened up. The Kendall School, which became an art center, had burnt down a number of years before. So the space opened
You had
up.
the space, which was very important.
Very important.
There isn't much room in Belmont.
Correct. So when I came on board, at least there was a temporary place. We were at the Our Lady of Mercy Parish Hall. Some in the audience may still remember. And Kitty, I remember meeting you there. You came then. And but the Archdiocese had to sell the place, so we could no longer be there. So that also pressured the community, but thankfully the community voted in favor of what we called a debt exclusion, of paying for a building. It was $5 million paid for by the town, and in the meantime, we started a nonprofit or fundraising and support organization that raised $1 million towards the project. It was a huge help,
Yeah.
and was a model for a public-private partnership. So we were homeless for about 18 months in the modular units behind the high school. So we were hobbling along, and then we opened up, even though there were a lot of people who were still, I would say, very concerned. They didn't know if their taxpayer money
Yes,
was
I
going to
know.
go into something.
Well,
And
let's face it, some people who don't need the center thinks it's an expense they shouldn't have. Shame on them. Shame on them.
well, I'm happy to say that there are programs for everyone there now, for the older, frailer people, and for the boomer generation, and for their family members who are younger, rich and poor, white, non-white.
Well, I know we have lots of Chinese and Indian population,
Yes.
which I think we're going to have on later.
Well, yes, and I'm glad to say that that all those groups feel comfortable in the center, and that we have a very rich cultural opportunities. We've had Indian Diwali celebration, we have Chinese New Year celebration, and we have a lovely exchange. So we try to bring everyone in. This morning we had a wonderful breakfast sponsored by East Cambridge Savings Bank on behalf of the veterans. And
I know you do things about the veterans, which is very important.
well, we've been doing it for a few years, and each year, of course, as anything, you get better at what you do Thanks to
Well, you're pretty good right now.
yes, I thank you for that. I think that it's very gratifying. Each day we do different things. I have to really consult my senior notes every day. It's hard for me to keep up with everything, but I'm very happy about the various programs, and we
You
get.
have some very interesting ones. I went to one
Yeah, tell
about
me.
chocolate.
Ah,
I'm going to have Virginia, the chocolate empress, on again. I liked her program. I learned about chocolate.
Oh,
I
good.
never would have known if it wasn't in the center.
well, see, these are the things I like to know about. You know, we can put on programs, but those, people's tastes, it's important for us
It
to know.
also helped me a lot when I needed something. I have very expensive medication, and one of your people helped me reduce the cost a little bit.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good to
so
know.
So there are many, many things, interesting things to learn. And you had a very good program on food that Mount Auburn Hospital gave. That was also very, very useful.
Well,
So I think you can learn a lot. I encourage people to come to the center. It's a beautiful place. People are very, very nice. And you will learn things you never knew you had to know.
That's true. And so sometimes, we'll put on a program, so it's always helpful to get this feedback. We will try anything.
Now, also, you have a very good person, I can't remember her name, who teaches exercise.
Well, we have a number of exercise programs. We have Susan Barbado.
Susan is fantastic, I tell you. Because
Yes.
I've been through the mill. I've had many, many instructors. She's one of the best.
Well, I'm glad, which is why.
She's excellent. I'm going to ask her to come on
Ah,
and
great.
explain what these old people should do, because there's still hope.
Uh,
Even if you have problems, sometimes you can help it a little bit.
Absolutely. There's a lot we can do. And I'll tell you, her classes and also Wara Flynn and some of the other instructors like Carol Wilson, who teaches yoga, and our Tai Chi instructor, I really can tell when somebody started with one of our exercise classes. I try to track them, see what they look like, and I will tell you, invariably, 3 months later,
They look
I
better.
see their posture better, I see they're stronger, and then I ask them, when I have a chance, I ask them, how is it going? And they confirm for me what I observe, which is they look stronger, more balanced, and more confident.
We all have to get off our, you know what. It's hard. You also have food, and it's not bad at all.
Oh, I'm glad
I've
you've
been
had it.
there a
Yeah.
couple of times, and not only that, you can sit around the round table and you can make new friends, and that's not bad at all.
Well,
You don't
I'm-
have to sit at home and stew. You can come down there and have a good meal for very little. I think it's $2.
$2 is the suggested donation. It's anonymous. It's anonymous.
Which
so-
is amazing. And you do get really quite a good meal. I encourage you to go down, but you do have to call before.
Good. You know all the rules. You know a lot about what we
Well,
do.
Not enough, I'm afraid.
Oh,
Not enough.
I think plenty, because we have a lot of people who forget to call in advance. So
Yeah, and
the
then they're
fact that you know
disappointed.
that is great. Speaking of food and coming together for meals, Lillian Hartman, my
Who's very nice,
assistant
yeah.
director, I'm very grateful for the town that we have her position as assistant director. she's done.
Otherwise, how could you do it? It's too much.
Well, it's fantastic, but she is still looking for people who, if they're alone on Thanksgiving, who would like. We have a special meal. Well, we're organizing a group of people who want to be together, who are alone Thanksgiving, to meet at Legal Seafood at the Charles Hotel
Oh, really?
at noontime. So if anyone's interested, to please call our main office, 617-993-2970, and they can still sign up for this.
I'm going to try to get Mr. Berkowitz to come on the show. I think that will be fun.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
he has a
I'm
Belmont
work-
connection.
Well, me. At the moment, I'm trying. We'll let you know when he comes on.
Oh, that's great. Well, now I remember you said, how did I get to Belmont?
Yes.
And I neglected that in my bio. But so I've lived in Cambridge for many, many years, but years ago, one of my jobs out of social work school was with the visiting nurses in Cambridge. And so at the time, we not only serviced Cambridge, but we serviced Belmont. And so I got to know the senior population a little bit from that time of working, so that by the time I was interested in going back to school, I got my master's in public health in the year 2000 from Harvard. And I had this new skill set, and I saw that the Belmont Council on Aging was looking for a director, and I thought, well, this is great. I feel connected to the community already from having had so many clients, and my children went to the Powers Music School, so I felt connected to the town.
So that's very interesting. And I'm so happy to have you. I
Well,
think
thank
we all
you.
should be very grateful that you ended up here.
Well, I think it was a smart move I made that time, because I've
Well,
been
we're
very
lucky to have you.
happy serving the people in Belmont, and even though, a number of years my job was really very focused on building the center and building up the programs, now we're trying to do some other things for seniors in the community. Now that we have the center, we're looking out to see what are the other needs. And there are a lot of other needs for people in the community.
What do you think is the most important right now?
Well, what we're hearing from people, and what we know is there are housing problems. We don't have enough
Our
housing.
taxes are, pardon me, outrageous.
Well, that's the tax situation is hard on seniors.
It certainly is.
And even though there are some exemptions that the town provides for seniors, including the work-off program, that is, seniors can volunteer to work in a municipal office.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and if they're income eligible, then they can receive $1,000 off their taxes.
Interesting. I didn't know about that.
Well, Marie Poor, our volunteer coordinator, she handles those applications.
She's very nice, but she doesn't want to come on. She's camera shy, she told me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if anyone can get her at some point, it would be you, I'm sure.
I'm going to try. But she said no.
Well,
And
in
I
the
don't want to
meantime,
pressure her.
right. In the meantime, I will share what she does, and she does it
She
so
does
well.
a lot.
Yeah, she does a lot.
lot, yes,
Fuel assistance applications and applications for these tax exemptions. So, to get back to what we were talking about, yes, so there are opportunities for tax deferrals, tax exemptions, but it's still very high. And so
Well,
rents
we
are
have
very
such
high.
a bad tax base because we are mostly homes, not much business, which is nice in one way, less
Mm-hmm.
pollution, but
Yeah.
still more money out of the pocket.
Well, I
I
do
don't know
know.
how that can be solved.
Well,
Probably not.
right. We can't solve that whole problem, but we are aware, and the selectmen are aware, and they're very supportive of doing what we can for seniors to remain in the town, for housing to be developed that is senior-friendly. And so what we've decided to do, Kitty, is we have a new initiative. We're aiming to be what's called an age-friendly community.
Oh, really?
Yes. And what that
Are
means,
we? I don't know.
well,
Do we have a lot of older people? I'm not
oh,
sure.
yes. Oh,
We
yes.
do? Hmm.
Oh, yes. It's about 22% of the population
Mm-hmm.
of people over the age of 60. So that's quite sizable, even for Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I don't know what the stats are on that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so there are a lot of older adults, and there is talk about more
What does that
housing.
mean if you are
An age-friendly community. Basically, it's an AARP designation. It means that we have a number of goals for the town that we're working on, a number of important projects. So what does it mean to be age-friendly? It means that the streets, the
are in better
infrastructure.
shape? I think they should be.
Well, that's an interesting part of that conversation, but certainly that streets are walkable for older people, that there are enough handicapped accessible rest spots around the town, that seniors are included in, that their concerns are included in decisions about town planning
That would be very nice. Yes.
and more civic engagement. It means, it basically means if you want to age well in Belmont, do you feel that on a structural level, on a social level, financial level, all these levels, that you are comfortable? Now, it's a goal.
Now, is that a national thing?
It is a national
never
and
heard of that.
yes, the WHO, World Health
I
Organization,
didn't know about that.
spearheaded.
That's interesting.
Good, I'm glad you're interested. I was interested too when I first
Yes.
learned about it. And then the way I learned about it is because Brookline, near us, got an age-friendly designation, and they got a special award, and I said, wow, this is really
We should
interesting.
do it too.
So we're working towards it, and I want to alert you and the public that we're conducting focus groups for seniors, but other residents are invited. A professor from the University of Massachusetts Gerontology Institute is going to be conducting those focus groups, eliciting more information about what's important,
What we need,
what you
what
need.
we want,
Right.
and what we might be able to get, and maybe not.
Very well put. These are age-friendly, it's a process.
Because unfortunately, the younger ones think we shouldn't even talk. Forget it. You're too old, you don't count. I think they're wrong.
Well-
I'm not putting up with that.
And
I'm absolutely not putting up with that. we did a lot for everybody. I think now they should do something for us too. It's just about time.
Well, I can tell you that one of the goals in Age Friendly is to bring the generations together.
Yes,
And
I like
I think there's a lot of, there's a lack of communication and misunderstanding of one another. And I think you, Kitty, you actually have been championing causes for young people.
Yes.
Your whole Sunglass Project to protect young people's eyes. So we,
glaucoma.
yeah.
That's another project I have that I'm not going to burden you with right now, but
But-
eventually I will.
But I mention it because, you know, there are young people who are interested in seniors. We have young people who come and volunteer and delightful, and then older people like yourself who care about younger people and create public health projects for them. So I think there's a lot of room for the generations to come together.
Which I think is a good idea.
And that is also part of the age-friendly process, is to understand
That's
each
maybe
other.
why you don't call the center Senior Center. It's just the center, the Beach Street Center.
Well, if you want to know that story, we actually, when the building was under construction, we needed to find a name. And we brought together the Council on Aging Board, the Friends of the Council on Aging. I want to make a plug, and this is the time for the flyer, if that could be put up. The Friends is our nonprofit support organization that helped finance the center, but it has also helped finance many of our programs. And they will be holding a fundraiser coming up November 18th, our annual crafts fair. So we were just talking about
The name.
the name, right. So just to put in a plug for the Friends.
We'll cut that part out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So the Friends were invited, that's the organization that funds our, many of our programs, to come together and come up with a name. Well, Kitty, I thought this process was going to last months. You know, everyone having their own opinion, and until you get, they came up with the name within an hour.
Really?
Someone suggested it, and they said, this is it, because people these days don't like the word senior so much. Not that it's a bad name.
I don't think so.
No. There was a little discussion about that. But our terminology is changing, even for senior. We're turning in the geriatric world. We're turning to use the term older adult, because that seems to be more popular for whatever reason. But in any case, we just want, the idea was this place can have meaning for everyone in the community. And then the Board of Selectmen loved it when we asked them
Because
for
you
approval.
use it for other things. We vote there too.
Right, it's a voting place. There are, in the evenings, there are recreation department events. There are also, we rent the center on weekends.
I'm going to rent it for my 95th birthday party.
Yay. Am I invited?
Of course.
Okay. Well,
You need a room about at least 40 to 50 people.
no problem. We have
You have
rooms for
one.
that size. We have for 250, we can accommodate.
That's too many
Yeah, no.
for me because I'll have to give them food.
Well, the other reason people like the name, we had a historian on the Board of Selectmen at the time. He said he liked that idea of place that it's a center named after a place that conjures up history. And in fact, the tree on the property, the beech
There is
tree.
a beech tree.
There is a beech tree, and we had to build around the tree.
I'm
It's
glad.
very important that the whole design was so that that tree would not be disturbed. And I learned from one of our seniors that it was actually planted by that senior's brother on Armistice Day.
How interesting. Yeah.
So-
and they saved. That's very nice. Usually they chop everything down. It's terrible.
Well, we're
that's how-
fortunate that it is the town of trees,
Yes.
and our tree, and I should say that tree kind of got a little bit unhappy the first couple of years, but we had the town arborist on
Fix
top
it,
of it,
yeah.
and it's
It's
thriving
thriving.
now. Yeah.
So there is a beech tree.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's
That's
called
interesting.
Copper Beech. That's
It's
right.
a copper beech.
Copper
That's right. I
beech.
know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is very dark and very beautiful. Now you know why we are so lucky to have Nava here in Belmont. Now, this is our first taping of the show. I think we should celebrate